So if you've been following this, if you've been following the crash of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it didn't just happen this week. It's been happening for a significant amount of time. That said, the Marvel's release and subsequent massive flop at the box office has brought a harsh reality to Marvel that they probably weren't ready to accept yet. And now they're getting absolutely crushed, being called absolute liars over some new marketing where they essentially said that the Marvels was the #1 movie in America. I mean, I guess perhaps, perhaps, I don't know by what definition you would, in what scenario you would say that, but I guess. And they're getting absolutely crushed for it. Marvel accused of lying after claiming the new film The Marvels is the #1 movie in the world, despite box office bomb making just $47 million, the lowest MCU opening of all time. I mean, this has a lot of smartest kid on the short bus vibes. It's got a lot of that. The Marvels debuted this weekend with record low profits at the box office. MCU film earned just $47 million domestically, which is the lowest franchise opening of all time. However, Avengers Endgame earned almost 10 times as much, with a whopping $357 million during its opening weekend and 3.5 years ago. In spite of this, Marvel decided to remain optimistic with this promotion, so they put this out. The Marvels have arrived. Don't miss the #1 movie in the world. Now playing in theaters everywhere. Get tickets now. Fans were quick to protest Marvel's declaration, claiming the film was definitely not the #1 movie, and the studio was delusional. Which world, your own? Because it sure as heck ain't this one user tweeted. #1 movie in the world? I knew that my optician's appointment was long overdue, but thanks for reminding me. A third tweeted, #1 movie in the world? Does this mean I can sue you guys for false advertisement? Others felt that Marvel should be able to claim the #1 spot due to its low box office numbers. #1 movie in the world? I thought this was the lowest opening Marvel movie of any time. Another wrote, the #1 movie in the world is setting the record for the biggest opening flop in the MCU. Fans who've already seen the movie claimed it was boring and the worst Marvel movie. The film was boring and didn't do anything to push the MCU in a good direction. The best thing was the post-credit scene with Beast, one user stated. You guys are kidding, right? Just watch it and it's by far the worst Marvel movie of your history, and I've seen them all. What a shame. I've never been so disappointed. Some disputed that the Marvels isn't the #1 film isn't the #1 film statistically. Currently, Barbie sits at the #1 spot. Meanwhile, the Marvel sits at the #41 spot. According to Box Office Mojo, Marvel's is ranked 41. You know you lied, and we know you lied. They're not helping. Well, I mean, the #1 movie in the world right now that's available to be seen right now, I suppose that might be true. That might be true, given that there's just, you see, according to Google, the #1 movie at the box office right now is Five Nights at Freddy's, not the Marvels. LOL, a third cited. Because of this, moviegoers are calling Marvel a liar. Technically, Marvel is able to claim that it sat the #1 spot based on last weekend's box office alone. The Marvels made the most out of any movie at the box office that last weekend, even though it was only raked in $47 million, while Five Nights at Freddy's are $9 million on its third weekend. I mean, it is, this is what Marvel has been reduced to. We know that Marvel has many worlds. It has, its multiverse. So perhaps there is some sort of universe in which, it is some sort of universe where it is the #1 movie in the world. I mean, technically it is. But then you have articles, even the Hollywood Reporter. The Marvel Studios taking stock of strategy amid the Marvel meltdown. The Marvel's meltdown. Essentially saying it failed so badly, it's caused them to rethink everything. The anything but marvelous performance of the Marvels is a moment of reckoning for Marvel Studios, the production house that has been the superhero of the box office for much of the past 15 years since Iron Man burst onto the scene in 2008. Over the November 10th through 12th weekend, the Marvels debuted at $46.1 million in North America, the worst opening in history of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which has raked in over $30 billion in total. You see, behind the scenes, Marvel Studios and Disney were well aware the Marvels was in trouble long before it ever hit the big screen. There was also the recognition that Feige and his team needed time to take stock of their theatrical tentpoles. Telling The Hollywood Reporter on November 8th, Bob Iger said during an earnings call that the Disney movie empire has lost focus because of the emphasis on quantity over quality in the rush to feed Disney Plus under Bob Chapek's regime. Though, of course, it was Iger himself who initiated the push before Chapek's reign. Feige and his team felt that this mandate keenly to determine of Marvel's movies, or to the detriment of Marvel movies, so to say. Well, this is what I talked about in a video yesterday. There's nothing interesting or new about Marvel movies now. Disney has created a scenario where where Star Wars movies and Marvel movies are viewed the same as toilet paper. There's always someone coming out. It's not an event. It's nothing to be excited for. There's nothing new, nothing exciting. It's just is. It is just this thing that you consume. There's always that's all it is. There's no point to get excited about them because you can just watch them on Disney Plus whenever you want. The MCU was as big as it was because you couldn't stream the movies in any reasonable way. Now people are realizing that the movies just aren't that good, and you're happy to wait. People are happy to wait, and we've seen how they delayed all these things. A lot of conservatives are taking a victory lap, talking about how, woke, go woke, go broke, but I actually don't agree with that. I mean, I do to a certain degree, meaning Disney and Marvel have gone down this kind of woke, path, pushing forth diversity in the name of for diversity's sake only, and caring a lot less about doing good stories. But the movie, The Marvels, isn't really inherently all that woke, outside of the fact that it's all women actors. I'm not somebody that says, oh, well, just because a movie has all women actors, it's inherently woke. You could look at a movie like Ghostbusters 2016, where the entire, yes, it was an all-female cast, right? But they also didn't have any other tent poles to sell us on the movie. They were like, you have to see Ghostbusters 2016 or you're a sexist. In that case, I would say it is woke. But inherently, having a woman lead isn't woke. In this case, I think The Marvels is, suffering disproportionately because of the decisions that Marvel's made along these roads. You see Gutfeld saying the new flick is courtesy of Disney, who owns the MCU, but the real marvel is how each movie they put out is getting worse and worse. The next superhero should be the incredible shrinking box office because their latest offering, The Marvels, was the worst opening for a Marvel movie ever, even worse than Iron Man versus Little Woman. Oh, they got destroyed in that. Now in this universe, women are as physically strong as men. I'm talking actual women now, not ones with 5 o'clock shadows. But today, entertainment is now secondary to diversity, and every cast must be as colorful as a bag of peanut M&Ms and twice as nutty. That's a good line. The first line wasn't all that good. It's technically, you see, it's a universe according to Disney, unfortunately, that only universe where this crap is a hit. And it's a universe that more and more audiences find as entertaining as counting liver spots on President Biden's thighs. So as Hollywood numbers drop like Nancy Pelosi's rack on a hot day, they keep trying to get us to see movies with a message. But are they getting ours? Have they finally realized that most of us would rather be dry shaved with a cheese grater than spend $25 being scolded by a virtue signaling cartoon? Apparently not, because The Marvels, Disney has produced a movie so bad it makes hunters Coke boogers look like art. I mean, I would say that like the Marvels itself is not inherently woke, other than its kind of cringe girl power facade. The problem is everything else around Marvel. The fact that Kamala Khan was even in it was kind of the byproduct of, woke decision making. You even have Polygon saying Captain Marvel should have just been the MCU's first true jock. Representation matters. I mean, everybody is memeing on this film, and I've talked about it before. Like, there is very little of quote unquote the message in this movie. There's a lot of like, use black girl power, like cringe Gen Z CW superhero writing, that kind of stuff. But it's not like this is a movie that, pushes trans ideology on people or, does anything weird like that. It's just that people are checked out. They don't care anymore about a new Marvel movie because they've been bad for a long time, and they'll just watch it on streaming when they want. The reason movies like Oppenheimer and Barbie did so well is because they were new, fresh, and different. And with Oppenheimer being kind of an original, and Barbie being Barbie just being Barbie, people went and saw these movies, and it doesn't really matter if people liked them or didn't like them. They were new, fresh, and different, and they weren't and they weren't just the same crap. Like, here's a movie with 4 women in the leads. Pay us money. People have, with the inflation and with the economy, people have started to demand a little more quality for their money. And I think that that's completely a fair thing to do. And Marvel trying to spin it and cope as the number one movie is perhaps the most hilarious development to date.